This is the Power Producers Podcast, where we are refining and redefining the sales game.
Rule number one is you have to believe in yourself. You're the only one who doesn't think you belong in this appointment. The prospect has already validated your existence by scheduling time with you. Get it through your head you belong here, go in there, crush it, and close the deal.
A place where sales professionals can come to learn from other sales professionals and thought leaders that have mastered their craft.
The difference between a good salesperson and a best-in-class salesperson is only 2 minutes. By spending an extra 2 minutes on what you might think is a mundane task in the sales game, you separate yourselves from the pack, you grow your book of business, you close more deals, and you retain your accounts.
As well as their peers who are still striving for perfection to achieve their why.
I have a wife and 4 kids. Failure is not an option.
Real sales professionals, real stories, real results. Are you ready to feel the power?
Hey everybody, welcome to the Power Producers Podcast, where we are refining and redefining the sales game. And today we are continuing our series on community-minded agencies. And I can't think of a better person than Mr. Chris Paradiso to talk to about this. What's going on, Chris?
How you guys doing? All right?
Doing good.
We're doing good, man. You know, it's funny because as we're talking to different people who are doing different things inside their community, it's like all roads lead back to Paradiso on this. So
no,
you're
all leads lead back to one place: independent insurance agents, who are the heartbeat of every community in this country. Every community.
I agree with that, man. But I got to tell you, you are leading by example, and there's a lot of people who are watching what you do. They know what you do. So I wanted to get you on here and just talk a little bit. And it's weird. We were talking with Claudia McLean on the episode before. What an absolute sweetheart. Like, I could hang out with her all day. I talk to people like that, and I think, did you ever discipline your kids when they were young? Because she just doesn't seem like she has a bone in her body that's capable of doing that. But I also know that she's owned an independent insurance agency since 1977. So there's a real good chance she's got a solid backbone.
She's got a solid backbone. In 77, how many women agency owners there were?
That's what we talked about. Yeah.
Hands off, because not only were they in a quote unquote man's world, insurance has never been an easy. So you add those two together, tough. And by far, probably non-arguably the best personal lines agency in the country. I don't know who would argue that. And if they would, I would question that, because she just runs a ridiculously amazing operation.
Absolutely. I believe it. And very humble, very giving. I mean, every attribute you would want to have as a leader that you're working under, just very, very impressive. So it was a pleasure to talk to her, but it's good to talk to you too, man. So one of the things we told her was, people get weird when you start talking about community involvement. And so when we have this conversation, I put the preface on this. This isn't to brag or beat your chest. This is literally to educate, because I think that one of the things that came out of several conversations we've had revolving around this topic, we're all blessed in an industry where we have enough gross margin that we can make a difference, and truthfully, not even miss it in many cases. And, we've had people like Bob Klinger on here. We've had Claudia. We've had Daniel Song earlier. And the list is going to go on and on, because we're going to focus on how agencies can make a more concerted effort to be involved in their communities. But I'm interested in hearing your backstory a little bit and how you got to where you're at today. And I realized that would probably be like a 3-part mini series on its own. But give us the 10,000-foot overview, and then I want to dive into some of this community stuff, because it seems like you've got a lot of cool programs that if an agency just listens to what you have to say, can go back and very easily implement some of this as early as tomorrow if they wanted to.
Real easy. I'm going to give you this quick and skinny. Started in life and health by the gentleman's was the son of the founder of who created the one and only in the financial industry called the Financial Needs Analysis, Wolf. It was Vernon Publishing, and Mr. Wolf His son and myself played a lot of basketball together. We traveled in multi-countries playing an all-black invitationals. So there was only two of us, both being white, but we played on an all-black team in all-black invitationals in Canada here. We became close friends, and his father said, hey, someday when you get out of college, give me a call. And that's what I did. And he came from the life and investment side, and he had a partner, Zachin, which was Wolf and Zachin back in the day. So once I got up and running, he said to me, you got to go through New York Life. That's, if you're going to make it in the industry, that's where you got to go to. I did. I listened to him. He said to me, I met with him 2 years after. He said, I think you need to start looking into property and casualty, because this was in 1999. People want a one-stop shop. It's the future. It's the financial world is going to be placed in one person's hands, and you're going to take care of it there. I met with another close friend of the family, geniuses in the insurance space. Arthur Andreoli in the life insurance. He insured Tommy Heinsohn, Bob Cousy, all the greats. His family owns and runs a great insurance operation. They're the staple in Massachusetts, called the Sullivan Group, the Andreoli family. And their father said to me in their family restaurant that my dad went to for 50 years for lunch and played Italian cards, briscola. We sat there and says, you need to go and start today. This was in 2000. And get your P&C license. And I took his advice from a very successful gentleman. From there on out, I enjoyed the life and health and investment side, but converted over 4 to 5 years to being 100. I say 100%. I'm 99% P&C, 1 to 2% life. So that's just a quick snapshot of how I got into and got to where I was getting to. Where we're pretty fortunate where we are today.
You got your fingers in a lot of stuff, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a 10,000 foot overview, but I don't think it captures, I mean, and obviously, like I said, it could be a 3-part miniseries, but that's led to you having multiple agency partnerships, investments into InsurTech and other things. I mean, what a great opportunity our industry gives all of us if we have the ability to be good stewards of what we're entrusted with.
Yeah. I think the number one thing is give. And the more we can give to each other, the more we realize that we are not competitors. We may look like competitors because it's Paradiso Insurance versus Penny Hanley and Howley Insurance. But at the end of the day, it really isn't. It's Paradiso, the small guy. Penny Hanley, Kristen's a great small independent agency owner. And it's us versus the lizard. I won't even say the name. It's us versus Flo. It's us versus, the nationals who have $1 billion budgets that we don't have. And it's the one thing we have that they don't have, which is the community. We have that control.
I agree 100%. And I mean, that's the whole thing. People are buying from fictitious marketing characters I'm the guy that they come to when they need their little league team sponsored, or I'm the guy that they come to when they need backpacks for the school kids or whatever else. And I'm not saying that because
that's an interesting point, though.
But if you think about it, that's a chronic issue that we all face. And I don't think that there's any way that you fix that or even attempt to reverse that without giving. That's the only thing you're going to be able to do to make yourself pronounced and stick out more in your community than what some of these national companies have.
No ifs, ands, or buts. I don't need any billboards. I tell everybody I'd rather give away a bike to kids that are reading and have a lasting effect on the community versus a billboard that somebody might call me off that billboard. Nobody cares about the billboard.
No, I agree. So talk a little bit about your community involvement strategy, because I know there's a strategy there. You've got multiple initiatives, I think is probably the best word, multiple initiatives that you execute on, for whether it be the Flag Day deal that you guys do. I've seen that. I've seen Justin post about that a lot. I know the bike deal, and we talked to Bob Klinger a little bit about him doing that in his agency. I'm just interested, just lay it out there, man. What are you guys doing, and how did you get started in it, and how are you executing it and still finding time to run your agency? Because I think that a lot of people are probably scared to death that if they start giving, they're not going to have time to make money. And that's the wrong way to think about it.
I'll repeat, as I say often, Mother Teresa didn't die poor. And there isn't anybody that gave more than that woman, because that is the closest thing to Jesus Christ that walked on this earth, man. And it's simple. In January, we focus on children who are who have been either taken from parents or are in temporary families. So we really focus on children. In the month of January and February, we focus on Operation Gratitude, which is all about the men and women serving overseas. We then go into an amazing March, April, and May, our Bikes for Reading program. And it's all about getting kids to read 70 hours and getting their name put in a hat. And while we give away bikes and we go into schools, we also run a campaign at the same time called the Kindness Revolution. And the goal is to get children to come up and speak in front of other kids about someone who was kind to them in their class. I get teared up because I have on video, I've never shared this because I would never do this to this young man who it punched me in the gut. He stood up and he says, I'm in fifth grade. My name is so-and-so. I have one friend in this room, one friend that plays with me. And I want to make sure he gets that bracelet because you all don't know how much it hurts when you call me fat. And he stood up and told the class how he felt. I still have a letter from him and his parents stated that I changed his life because now he's respected. All because he had the guts to stand up there for a rubber bracelet that says kindness is cool. And he gave that kid a bracelet. And they stood and they gave him a standing ovation. And teachers, I said, if that's not eye-opening to the teachers, we need to be aware of how kids are treating us. We need to be aware that this crap is still going on. And that's how we change lives. We change lives by stupid little programs that it's just, hey, can we get a kid to just talk about somebody else being kind? And then the story comes out. And I can tell you story upon story upon story. And kids actually will fight over the bracelet more than the bike. So that kindness goes on with the same. When we go in there, we give away a bike. We give away a bike for the second grade, third grade, fourth grade, and fifth grade. And then we also give in pre-K and first grade at another school. But we go and we talk and I'm a big kid, so I get on there and I'm banging on the table. I get all the other kids banging. I mean, you can hear it the whole school, right? And we go drum roll and then we pick a name. And then we have the parents come out because I find it one of my passions is I believe that we need to invest in kids, is to get these parents to show up so that you can see how proud your child is by receiving that bike. So I can tell you more memories. They've affected the kids and the parents have affected me more than I've affected them. That's why we do it. We do it I personally believe that reading is one of the most influential things if we want to really have success later in life. It plays a vital role in our life, that the more we can get kids to read, the smarter and the better their future will be. So that's why we do it. We also do Easter egg hunt, which is we put out 10,000 Easter eggs. We stuff them. We get the community, Stafford Fire Department, and we raise money and we give away bikes also there. But several unbelievable community people come and they stuff some of the seniors and they put a $1 bill in some of them. So the kids, they pick these eggs, and you've never seen 10,000 eggs in a field. So we do the younger kids and then we do the older kids. Go on YouTube, you can see our video, and you just see massive amounts of eggs. But it's a truly remarkable day. I got a hair across my hiney when a local politician said there will never be another Easter egg hunt here in our town because we should never mix government with religion. The last time I checked as a Catholic, or I don't care what religion you are, the Easter Bunny, to my understanding, is I don't know what religion they are on. So I think it's more about the kids. So I got a hair across my hiney, and I'm not going to lie to you. I stirred the pot, and we brought together the community, and the community loves it, which is great. And it's not about me. This is about the kids. The kids need to benefit. The kids need to see this. The kids, and it is a family day. Can we get families to come together and do these things? So that also takes place in April. And then we move on to Flag Day, which is June 14th, which is by far our staple event. Roughly about 900 people come within our community. We feed them. I own a brewery, so we bring in the brewery and we give out a free beer. And we have a local radio station. We get to meet all kinds of veterans and put them on the radio. And it's a day to honor our flag, honor our veterans, honoring those that serve. We honor the police. We honor the fire department. I'm a big first responder guy. So June 14th is all about our community. It is a barbecue. It's an amazing day. We give out in excess of 600 T-shirts, flags. Anybody who brings a flag, we're going to replace a flag for you at no cost to you. I'm not going to tell you it's a cheap day, but it's pretty amazing. We do 175 pounds of roast beef, 500 hamburgers, 500 hot dogs, about 50 pounds of sausage. It's just a day for the community to come together. Classic car collectors come. They park all around the town. We get the fire department. We hang a 30 by 60 flag across the street. And it's just an amazing day that the community comes together and we honor our veterans.
So how did that take off? How did that, start and kind of?
Well, the great thing is Claudia McLean talked about a flag exchange, and I said, that is an unbelievable thing. And I had a different vision, but at the end of the day, it was Claudia McLean's idea. And it started off with the first one was maybe about 30 or 40 people in the office. Year two went up to about maybe 100. Year three went up to about 300. Year four, hundreds more. I'm fortunate that the local troopers here don't charge me because we almost shut down Main Street because they're veterans. They come from near, and they always say, hey, it's my day off, but I ain't taking a day off, because they just love to see they're on their bikes, the community's involved. It's peaceful. It's nice. I say it's like the 50s when people came together. It's just a truly remarkable day to pay our respects. And then we move into September, which is a reverse trick or treat, which my daughter was hospitalized at the age of 1, and 5 nights, 6 days, and found out that she had a rare sickness. Serum sickness, and at the Connecticut Children's Medical, she was the first one in 14 years to ever be diagnosed with this. And I was really disturbed walking around the hallway with her that the parents weren't there, kids were alone. 5, 6 years old. I just said to myself, that devastated me, seeing these kids, how fearful. You're in a hospital. So I insured the head ER doctor. And I said, I really want to do something. And we came up with an idea called reverse trick or treat, which, because the kids with cancer can't have chocolate because it's coming out of nut factories, chocolate's coming and being made within nut where there's nuts. That has a drastic effect on a lot of the chemotherapy. And I never put one and one together. So really? Reverse trick or treat is all about arts, crafts. We supply radio flyers, because radio flyers are what bring the children into the surgical rooms. They don't bring them in on gurneys or stretchers or, roller beds. They bring them in on flyers, radio flyers. So we when there isn't either a pandemic or an outbreak, a flu outbreak, we get to go in with our local teammates and give away, allow kids to take anything they want, from sunglasses to board games to Uno to arts, crafts, Play-Doh, Dunkin' Donuts gift cards, and our community comes together. And to be honest with you, about 60% of the stuff that we're able to bring into the hospital, Matchbox cars, come from other insurance agents that support us. Claudia McLean has supported us, I believe, 5, 6 years. And she supports us in a big way. Bob Klinger, who's one of my close friends, who's not only, in my opinion, an American hero, served Purple Heart. The guy's just an amazing human being. Daniel Sums supported us, a Marine, another great agent. Agents have supported us. So From there, we go into reverse admin, and that's where we are today, which is all about collecting food. And I can't tell you how many thousands of dollars we've collected. I just got a $500 donation here from a local business that we're going to go out and buy a ton of food. And our goal is how can we serve others? That's really where our community involvement believes in. That's our focus.
Your reach is broader than your community, though. You do something pretty cool with regards to the last agent standing. Talk a little bit about that, the thought process behind it, and we'll swap stories a little bit on that, because that's something that's very, very close to me personally.
Yeah. So I wanted to be able to. I was fortunate. I met. Was 2009 picked to be on the cover of Rough Notes, and met some really cool agents that broadened my horizons. And what ended up happening is I was invited to go out to be a part of the advisory board at Rough Notes, and several agents said, "Hey, we started chit chatting and talking about some of the digital things we were doing, Facebook, and we really were focused on a lot of email marketing and onboarding clients and things of that sort, along with the community service work." And a couple of agents said, "Hey, we would love to visit you and spend a day or two with you, and maybe you could share." So what ended up happening and coming of it is agencies were flying out and spending time with me, that I decided that taking this content and originally, 80%, 90% of the articles in the first 2 volumes were more driven by me, but I really wanted to expand that to get agents like Daniel Song, who's crushing it on Yelp. Who thinks an agent can crush it on Yelp? There's still people that doubt me on crushing it on Pinterest, right?
I was
it's okay.
Baffled by that earlier.
Yeah, he's brilliant. He's brilliant. Not only brilliant, he's a community rock star. I mean, the guy's. He's doing amazing things.
Yeah, it's funny. I told him people could immediately start trying to use Yelp as a mechanism to grow their business, and they're out of luck. He's got too far of a head start on it.
He is Yelp.
Yeah, I asked him, I said, "How long is it going to be, Daniel, before when I type in yelp.com, there's a redirect to your website?"
He's working on it.
It's crazy to think about it, man. I mean, isn't that sort of how this whole industry works? You find that one thing that nobody else is doing, and you become an expert at that. You can be pretty good at the other stuff, but if you can go really, really deep in one area, you can really scale your business quickly.
Yeah, no question. But to end that story is really, I wanted to be able to get other agents and put together a magazine that was different. Different in the sense is not that there was anything wrong with the amazing Rough Notes or Insurance Journal or anything else, but I really wanted to focus a magazine on visual content marketing. I felt that the world had gone visual 7-8 years ago, and the goal was why a magazine? Because everybody was writing a book, and I don't think a book could do justice for what I was trying to do, is really just open agencies' eyes to, hey, let me write about Pinterest, and just maybe you'll just try it, right? Or a brand guide, when most people looked at me and said, "What the hell's a brand guide?" When I was speaking throughout the country. So I figured I'm going to do this magazine because I want to hopefully introduce these types of concepts, geofencing, geo-tracking. What's the difference, right? And the end goal of the magazine was first and foremost to educate and at least share ideas with agents, right? Not just my ideas, but other amazing agents, whether it's Ryan Hanley, Jason Kaz, Daniel Sung, Bob Klinger, Jeff Roy, Matt Namoli, just sharing all this, Jerry Nicolo, Huff Insurance, just there's so many amazing agents. But the goal is to be able to raise money to give back to Journey Found, which is an organization that my sister lives in, which helps people with intellectual disabilities. I hate that word, but it labels a group of people. My sister was unfortunately or fortunately born with mental retardation, which is very different than autism, very different than Down syndrome. My cousin is Down syndrome. My goal is how can I help give a voice to people who aren't heard? Cracked teeth, as you can see here, fighting somebody who called my sister the R word, which I hate. And some people say, well, why do you say mental retardation? I just think it's a respectful word, understanding who my sister is. But I just don't, I'm not a big label guy. I wanted a voice for people with disabilities, beautiful people who are Down syndrome, autism. I know a bunch of agents with autistic children. And I mean, all I want to do is to be able to write checks to help these organizations that maybe we can give a voice to somebody like my sister. And my sister is only one of millions with intellectual disabilities. But one of my passions in life is not, I'd say number one is to be the best dad ever to my kids. And number two would be fought for people who didn't have a voice, people like my sister. So it's a long lasting thing because my father and mother have been fighting for years. And I think society is getting better, but we can't stop. We have to keep fighting.
I don't think that until you have a relative that has experienced something like that you can look through the world with that lens. I think people are ignorant. I don't talk about it a lot. I talk about it in broad strokes, but my youngest son has some pretty significant neurological issues himself. He's a lifer. We know that. Kyle gets his every couple of nights. I send a picture of Ethan in his, he's 9 and should not be wearing costumes during any other time but Halloween, but he has full SWAT gear and he has a police car with lights and a PA system. And he drives around the neighborhood with Post-it notes, giving our neighbors tickets if he doesn't like the way they drive. He'll get out of it, write them a ticket, slap it on the side of their car, whatever else. But I mean, as crazy as it is, there's not a day that goes by. And I don't say this lightly, and I don't say this as a cliche. There's not a day that goes by that I don't learn something from him, whether it be how to deal with other people or how to handle things myself. There was a period of time when he was 18 years old, or 18 months old, rather. He had some gastro issues. We took him into the hospital. The person who was supposed to perform, the doctor that performed the scope on him, came out and said, everything looks clear, but we have all of the other specialists on duty this weekend. We want to go ahead and admit him so that we can run a battery of tests. We want to make sure we can figure out what's wrong with him. We had gone in. It was a Thursday. We went in planning on coming home that afternoon, and it turned out I needed to leave and drive back out 40 minutes to where we live to get a bag of clothes because my wife and I obviously weren't going to leave him there by himself. I had to make arrangements for the other older boys at the time. My daughter wasn't born yet. And I was driving back in to the hospital, and I'll never forget this because I don't think that there's ever been a time in my life where something has hit me between the eyes as hard as what that did. But as I'm recreating my way back to where I had parked the car, I looked up and I saw a sign that was directing me to the pediatric cancer unit. And I'm thinking to myself, what the heck is going on? This is not normal. Something's not right. And I start, thinking the worst case scenario and freaking out. Well, it turns out they ran him through the battery of tests, and he was born with what's called an agenesis of the corpus callosum. It's a piece of your brain that connects the two hemispheres and allows each of them to talk to each other. His is only about halfway developed, and there's nothing you can do to fix that. He was also born with low white brain matter. Perioventricular leukomalacia is what it's called, but it's low white brain matter, and your body only produces that prenatally. So you have two choices: either it stays the same as he gets older and it never gets any worse, or he has progressive white brain disease and it's 100% fatal. So the only way you know whether or not you have progressive white brain disease or not is to take a baseline MRI, which they did at 18 months, and then you wait another 18 months and take another one to see if it's regressed any. So for 18 months, my wife and I lived not knowing whether or not my son was going to live to see 10 years old or not.
Yeah, that's
you have a whole different perspective. Like,
you do.
Like this morning at 3:45, when he woke me up because he couldn't find the stupid elf on a shelf and he was worried about where it was. He wasn't going, we know based on how he's wired, he ain't going to bed until he finds the stupid elf, right? So I got up at 3:30 this morning.
Where was the elf, dude? Like, come on.
Yeah. It was hanging.
Where did you hide him?
He's not a good finder, okay?
Got to put it in front of him.
Yeah, it was literally in the wide open. So, but
it does open your eyes, David, to all the little things. You can have a bad day and you go home and I see my sister and she says, what's up? And it's just like the world she lives in. When some people say, man, I feel bad. Don't feel bad. She lives in a better world than we live in.
You're right.
Trust me.
Yeah. No,
I want her to have a voice, but she lives in a better world. She does not look at the world the way we look at it. Some people say, the racism. My sister doesn't have a racist bone in her body. She looks at everybody as they're wonderful. Gets bit by a dog, 180 stitches in her head. I mean, it's still massive scars. What does she do? She goes and she pets any dog. She loves dogs. Never once. Most people would be like, whoa, She was all bandaged up for months on end when I was younger. She went right back to dogs. Why? Because she lives in a different world. And that world is much friendlier, much kinder. I wish we all lived in that world. But she opens our eyes to all the simple little things, just as your son.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what my wife is, obviously a very protective mother. And, we do talk about it. She's a speech pathologist by degree, but she works with people who have the cognitive ability to speak, but are nonverbal. Her company manufactures communication devices similar to what Stephen Hawking had mounted on his wheelchair. So I take her anywhere. We go to a cocktail party, whether it be for insurance or not. People say, hey, what do you do? Well, I'm in insurance and risk management. They'll ask Andrea,
Cool.
What do you do? I give people a voice. I'm out. Anybody want anything to drink when I go up and get the refills? Because she's gonna run the table the rest of the night. I can't get a word in. But we say that because
we need more people like her, David, because
I say that,
like my father says, what would be worse if you had a daughter? And I do. And he says, what would be worse if your daughter died without ever being heard as a parent? And I was like, ooh, that's tough. Dad, he says, I don't care, son or daughter, nothing worse than if you lost a child who never could be heard, ever. They never had a voice. My best friend gets involved and helps, and he tells everybody, why am I involved? I'm involved to make sure she has a voice, make sure he has a voice, make sure these people with disabilities are heard, because they're human beings. They cry like us. They laugh like us. They have the same feelings. They need to be heard. So kudos to your wife, David. Kudos. And we need more people who have that hunger to fight, because we have to fight.
Absolutely. And I mean, I tell people all the time, Ethan couldn't have been born to a more perfect mother. I mean,
you said that to me before. You did.
Yeah. You can't even imagine. So, we're thankful from that respect. So, I mean, you're going through you have the magazine, you're doing that to give your sister a voice. What kind of progress have you made doing that?
We're raising thousands of dollars. Created an endowment. One of my dad's dreams was an endowment, because at the age of 85 and battling with a few health issues, he's concerned, not a big believer that the government's going to always be there to take care of people with disabilities. There's always cutbacks. And for example, we get a call. What people don't really understand is people like my sister who are 20 or maybe like your child, David, where when you say lifer, well, my mom passed away 2 years ago. Lucky that she's in a group home, because my father couldn't take care of her 24 hours a day. It's a 24-hour day, 7 days a week job. Well, there's two young adults who lost their parents. They were older, like my father, in their 80s, and there was only one parent left. They died, and now they have a child, which is not really a child, but 40s or 50s, now going in a group home, never been in a group home, and looking for food because the government didn't have all their ducks in a row, because they were on a waiting list to get into a group home. Well, now it's an emergency group home because their parent just passed away, and they can't drive, they can't write a check, they unfortunately, like my sister, if she doesn't have 24-hour care, she's lost, right? So what do? We have to step up. And being able to say we raised money to be able to buy swing sets, buy food. These two gentlemen that are now going into this group home, they get a $600 stipend for food, nothing more. They don't have a driver's license. They'll never have a driver's license. One of them wears a helmet because unfortunately he bangs his head against the wall and harms him. $600 of a food stipend of a person who is so disabled they will never drive, never be able to take care of themselves. Wears a diaper. If I can't stand there and help these people, I look at myself and say, what's wrong with our government? We need to help these people. It's crazy that a $600 stipend, that kills me. So we're going to make sure that person those houses have enough food for a year. And that's going to be the end of the story, because that's, in my life, I feel that's our obligation. We need to help those who can never repay us back. That's the ultimate gift.
What does it cost one of those places? I mean, I don't want to sound ignorant, but for them to have food for a year, what does that expense look like?
$4,800 when you're buying in bulk. It's nothing.
And you're raising money now. I mean, do you have
raising food?
Have you guys raised $4,800 this year?
Well, we just started in December. We probably have $3,100 worth of food down there. We have more checks. I believe by the end we'll be at $20,000. If we get to 10, I'm matching 10. We're at 20 grand. So my goal is to match dollar for dollar everything we raise, every piece of food we raise. That's somehow spurring out other people on. Maybe they'll write a $10 check or bring $10 worth of food because they know I'm going to match it. Whatever I have to do, but there is no way that I can't raise $10,000 from my community worth of food and donations. And my obligation is to match that. And the great thing about it is being able to not only sell magazines and doing other things, giving back to the industry. It's giving back the journey found and helping people be taken care of for those that aren't. So to me, it was created for two things. My passion is helping agents. I love independent agents. My bestest of friends, I could tell you, from Bob Klinger, Daniel Song, Mike Stromso, one of the best of the best. I talk to Mike every single week. To Matt Namoli, Brian Hanley, Jason Katz. There's so many great, unbelievable, amazing people. To them being able to give back to charity. To me, it's a win-win, and that's what Paradiso Presents in the magazine is all about.
Is there a way that if we put a link in this episode when it runs, people can donate electronically?
Sure. They could go right to, and we can send it to you, David. It's www.paradisopresents.com. And right on there, they can get the magazine. And just so you know, all the profits, and right now it doesn't matter if it's profits or not, 100% of the money that's coming in is going out for food. So we are going to continue to, make a difference. We have to do it. So
here's the thing, man. We're going into the first of the year. Everybody sees Jesus at the first of the year. They want to get better with financially. They want to lose weight. They want to do all of that stuff. I know, this episode is supposed to air probably late February, early March. That's not going to happen. I'm going to fast track this because I want to get this message out now while everybody's warm and fuzzy and they don't forget where they came from. So there's two things that I want to say. The first one is that as soon as we get off of this, please make sure I have that link, because Power Producers is going to give you $1,000 towards food based off of what I just heard. The second piece of it is some of you schleps out there are out there writing business based off of the things that we've taught you, and you're sitting on your wallets. You've heard stories that are real. You've heard stories of things that are going on in the community. If you value anything at all that we've ever been able to teach you, if you've closed accounts like the numerous emails I get every week, come off your wallet and go to this link and donate. I don't do this ever. I've not once asked anybody for a dime on this show, but I want everybody that feels so inclined to go to the link and donate today.
We appreciate that, and we promise we're going to keep making a difference. And the best thing we can do is when we say better together, because if we can stick together, guys and gals, I'm telling you, sky's the limit.
Agreed. So let's shift gears for just a second.
Sure.
And as we wrap up, I want to be respectful of your time, but you've been in the industry longer than I have by a few years. You have a completely different perspective. I've only known Florida, so I don't really have much experience other than excess and surplus lines property for the first however many years of my career. What's the number one piece of advice you'd give to any agent coming into the industry right now, knowing what you know today?
Personal brand, by far the number one thing that they can do in today. The social media world and the social world has changed the way we market, would be number one. Number two, are they coming in as an agency owner or coming in as working for somebody else? I would tell you two pieces of advice, two drastically different. If you're coming in as an agency owner, I would tell you, looking at things today, I would get out there and I would find a small book of business or a book of business to purchase, and I would take loans and I would take the risk. Fortunately, I have grown to be 55 plus million in written premium, and we do have a niche, but could have gotten there a lot faster if I looked at that versus saying, hey, I want to focus. If I'm an agent going to work for somebody else, the number one thing is I would go and find the agency that's going to work with me and educate at train, because so many agencies are not training. They're just not built to train, right? They don't have the training program. So if you're an agent looking to go work for somebody else, the number one thing is what do you have to offer for training? Because at the end of the day, isn't this all about insurance is the tail, man. Nobody comes in this space and just makes millions overnight. Many people come in and spend 20 years and make millions and millions of dollars. I've met very, very wealthy agents I think agents who are working for somebody, you have to demand that training. And if it's not there, find another agency, because the keys to your kingdom are in education and training. You have to be different. You have to be an educator. It's value, value, value. We are very fortunate to be one of the largest writers of parcel delivery in the United States, and we do not sell on price. We tell everybody, we're not even going to bring up a price until the third meeting. We're going to talk about how we do business, what you need from us in your industry, and last but not least, how we're going to help protect your mod. And in some cases, there's not a mod in specific states. We write in 39 states, that on how we're going to have a 10-year look out for your workers' comp, and how we're going to do that through safety, from non-slip tape to if you wear specific boots and you twist an ankle and you have a workers' comp claim, the boot company actually pays the first $5,000 of the claim. So we are tied into a safety. So it all comes down to value, and we have to be different. We can't just be, selling on price. We're never going to compete with the lizard. Never.
How did you get into that niche?
Hold on real quick. Before you answer that, I want to piggyback on one thing, and that is, here's the advice I would give. In addition to what Chris said, the other thing you should be doing is you should be talking to whichever agency it is that you're looking to go work with, and talk to them about technology and systems. Find out what they have that's going to make your life a little bit easier. I think a lot of people come in and they do see the ability to generate income and wealth in our industry, thinking that there's some silver bullet that you can just fire off and it automatically happens. I hate to rain on everybody's parade, but it's a grind regardless of what you're doing. You're going to grind. I still grind every single day, and I always will. But it's a little easier when I have HubSpot. It's a little easier, when I can see a lot of, the analytics and the tracking and assigning tickets and tasks and all of that stuff. And I think that even if an agency has a really, really good training program, that needs to be coupled with the technology to make sure you're going to be successful. And unfortunately, not everybody in our industry is willing to make that investment in the technology. Chances are they don't have a training program. They're not going to have technology either. Very few you're going to see one without the other, but that would be my 2 cents. Kyle,
Sure.
all yours.
What was your question, Kyle? I apologize.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very specific niche. I was wondering how you got in there.
Actually, a local guy we connected with, and we built a friendly relationship, and we were kind of stumped by the contract. So what ended up happening was I had an agent that I had brought on, and I would say a starving agent, certainly not starving today. Definitely in the top 1%. But fortunate that he was going to law school. And I said, hey, are you willing to take 3 months off from law school? I'll pay you a significant amount of money to help pay for your loans and things of that sort. And will you read this contract? And we learned all about the FedEx contract and learned all about the types of policies, and never once ran into a carrier that even heard of what we were talking about. And then started getting on planes and flying around the country and going to target markets to try to locate a carrier who would quote unquote, take a gamble with us. So we were in the parcel delivery in 2010 into 2011, and it's changed tremendously. And we started the first captive, which we still have the only captive today that's homogeneous of just for parcel delivery. We do have some Amazon. 98% of it is FedEx. And we love that niche. Now, granted, we play in the personal, in the small business, medium-sized commercial insurance, but our niche is parcel delivery, and we love it. We love it.
I actually have one of those that I can send you guys if you'll give me your producer's contact info. It was an inbound lead for us, and it's with a program that's not yours right now. And I have a feeling you'd clean their plow. So I'm happy to.
Probably Marsh Protective.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the national. We were very fortunate. Several people recently, with all the intergrumblings and a lot of things going on within the insurance space, were able to pick up a couple FedEx. I would call them program administrators. They worked only in understanding parcel delivery, and we're fortunate to bring them on, and their expertise, which it's all about expertise. If you can talk their language and really relate to these people, it's the one area where I would tell you, if you're a younger agent, which we have, and he's doing phenomenal in our niche, these contractors, men and women, are not digital savvy. They are not technology is not one of their things. And it's just remarkable on, how much handwritten notes play such a huge role in continuing the trust and relationship. So good old, I love geofence and geotargeting. I love technology, but good old fashioned handwritten note cards, we still do that.
Yeah, it's interesting too with COVID, obviously people have been shopping from home more and more, but I think there's also some issues with the decline of the postal service that are only going to continue to feed that fire. I mean, that's a niche that still hasn't even come close to realizing its full potential. And I've got friends that own e-commerce companies, and I've watched one right after the other start abandoning the U.S. Postal Service because now UPS and FedEx are actually a more economical way for them to ship, more reliable as well. So, I think that we have this conversation 2 or 3 years from now, that book's probably double or triple what it is today.
Just remember though, David, money spent purchasing online, not one penny comes back to your community. And you can shop local, and you can afford to shop local, because sometimes it is more expensive. I shop local as much as I can and support our farmers as much as we can, because I always say no farms, no food. And I don't want my food coming from another country. I love this country right here.
I am fairly certain there is not a Sunday market anywhere in Hillsborough County that my wife doesn't have on her loop. So
that's a good woman right there.
Yeah. And you know what? You'd appreciate this. I'll shoot you a picture over when we get done. But it was so cool because in each of our offices, we have a flag that is made with actual commissioned fire hose. And the company is Firehouse Designs, and they're in Valrico, which is where my primary office is. They were actually featured on Fox and Friends like 2 weeks ago. I looked, and there was this massive fire hose flag, and their shtick is, they've got the serial number on there showing the UL Labs number and all of that. And then it have the actual brass coupling that they use, all part of this picture. And I saw it on TV, and we were laying in bed. It was like 5:30 in the morning. I think Ethan slept in a little bit looking for the elf that day. But I looked at it and I said, that looks like Firehouse Designs. And sure enough, it was really, really cool. I saw the picture you had on social media of the flag that you had made that you had a picture taken of, and that reminded me of it. But man,
you can see it's directly in back of me, one of them, which is by a local veteran. And, guys, they don't talk about it, but these guys are heroes, not just guys, girls too. They come back from war and, 32, 33 and seen things they shouldn't see. And, real heroes fought for our freedom. And, amazing people. They're amazing people.
Well, and we're exposed to it here specifically because we've got, CENTCOM is here, and we've got MacDill, and Tampa has grown a lot over the years, so it's more spread out than it used to be. It used to be the area where I live was the place where a lot of the military people lived because it was more affordable housing than living in South Tampa or or Carrollwood or one of those other places. But I agree with you wholeheartedly, man. I don't have anything else to say. I want to go out and just start screaming at people in the parking lot to donate money, based off listening to this for the last little bit. But I'm dead serious. I'm going to do everything I can to help you, brother.
We appreciate any of your help. And at the end of the day, I can assure you, we're not going to let anybody down. That I promise. We're not going to let anybody down.
I believe that. Well, listen, I'm sure people are going to want to reach out. How do they find you? I mean, obviously they can just go anywhere on social and find you relatively easy.
They can, but if they want, I give my cell phone out, and it's amazing on how many people reach out. Amazing friends, 860-836-1230. My mobile, my email is just my first initial C, Paradiso, Paradiso @paradisoinsurance.com. If you just Google Paradiso Insurance and you put a little note in there, it's going to come directly to me anyway. So if you just go online, that's fine too. LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, anywhere, any social platform, just about we're there.
Nice.
Good deal. Well, Chris, I appreciate you making the time.
Thank you guys. Really appreciate it.
We're going to do everything we can to get our platform out there and your word spread. Please let us know anything we can do to help. But, I'm going to be
getting the word out there. We're not going to stop, man. We'll do it as long as we have to do it, right?
I'd rather join you than go against you, my friend.
Okay.
You're a man with some serious resolve. So, Listen, I hope you have a good week. Thank you so much for spending time with us.
Appreciate it. Keep up the good work, guys. Thank you.
You've been listening to the Power Producers Podcast. You can follow Killing Commercial Insurance on Facebook and YouTube. And if you want to take your game to the next level, check out our book, The Extra 2 Minutes, and our website, killingcommercial.com.